Hello, hello. So, if you're going to wait for the next big thing, you are going to wait forever. So, I decided to build myself a new computer today because I kind of needed it. The old computer I had was an i5 6600K, 4 cores, 4 threads. And yeah, it's working kind of okay. It's a budget motherboard, kind of a cheap one. The Z170-P or whatever. And one big reason is that it can't run Windows 11. The CPU is not supported anymore. So I'm turning that old computer to a Linux machine instead. So this one, it's a 12th generation Intel. It's the i7 12700K. So it's not the i9. The i9, I think it's a little bit too expensive. And it also consume or produce a lot of heat and power. So I just went to the next step underneath that, and then was the i7 700K. And the motherboard, it's an Asus ROG Maximus Z690 Hero. And this one actually, it had the Hero series had some issues with a capacitor right at the memory module. Let's see if you can right up there in the corner. The polarity was wrong on some cards, and this one is okay. The plastic wrapping on the motherboard boxing was gone, so I guess the sort of store, the online store already checked the motherboard, I guess. But this is fine. That's that. And the case is a Fractal Design Pop XL Air. It got a glass panel. It's not on right now, but it's a clear glass side view or side panel. What I did was, it comes with 4 fans. Let's see if I got one here. I think, so it comes with 4 of these. It's 120 millimeter fans. So they got RGB and stuff. So there were 3 in the front and 1 at the back. So what I did instead was to get a couple of Noctua fans instead. They are a little bit expensive, but they are better and more quiet. So I got 3 120 millimeter at the front, and then 140 millimeter at the back. And then I also got the the fan names. Let's see, I got the cardboard box here. The 120 millimeter fans are the NF-A1225 PVM premium fan, and the 140 millimeter are the NF-A14 PVM. So that's what I got. And then I also got the Noctua cooler. It's sort of the top tier one. It's the NH-U12A. And it was kind of pricey. It was like $120, something like that, tax included. But it's supposed to be the top notch. And it got 2 Noctua fans as well. It's included in the 120mm fans. And this motherboard also got DDR5 support for memory. And I got a 64GB kit from Kingston. It's the Fury series, 4800 megahertz. So it's not super memory, but what I heard on some YouTube, the Jay's 2 cents, or what it's called, he did some memory testing, especially with the clock speeds with the DDR5. And he basically said that if you're going to have a high speed memory with DDR5, it's actually better to go with 2 sticks than 4. Because when he did some testing with 4 sticks and the motherboard went into some kind of endless loop of booting, so boot loop. So, but when he removed 2 sticks, it works pretty okay. So yeah, I might upgrade later on when it's a little bit more mature, because DDR5 and stuff are kind of new when I record this video. And yeah, then the storage or the graphic card, I transferred that from my old PC. It's in Asus GeForce RTX. It's a 3060, 12 gig. It's not a TI, because the TI model of this only have 8 gigs. Kind of weird. So I prefer to have more memory. It's kind of a small card as well. It only requires one 8-pin power connector. And then we come to the storage. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on storage on this one. Well, I can actually explain the power supply as well. It's underneath there. You can't really see it because of the cover. But it's from Corsair. It's the RM1000X version 3. So it's a 1000 watts power supply. So yeah, I spent some money on that one. A little bit of future proofing. Because if I want to upgrade the graphics card and stuff like that later on, I might need that power. Because yeah, I heard that the 30 series can peak a lot, up to almost 1000 watts. So a lot of YouTubers recommend that you should have at least 850 watts. So I went, it cost me like $5 extra or something, or $10 extra to get the 1000 watts, so whatever. And I also got an extra, or you see it down there, it goes to a USB header, the blue one there. So I got 2 extra USB 3 ports. It got already, well, what is 6 USB, regular USB 3 at the back, and then like 3 USB-C. And 2 of those USB-C are Thunderbolt 4. So yeah. And then of course I got an extra USB 3 header there that goes to the top connectors. Yeah, and now the storage itself. Well, this motherboard can handle 5 M.2 SSDs in total. It has 3 on the motherboard, so it's like down here 1, 2, and then it's squeezed between the graphics card and the CPU over there. And I will explain in another video how this actually works, and what most people don't think, that the left slot at the bottom there are actually just PCI Express 3, and the right one and that one are PCI Express 4. And then you have actually, I don't have it here, but included with the motherboard is Asus extra card, PCI Express card. And you can have another 2 M.2 SSDs on that one. And one of them are actually PCI Express 5 for the M.2, and one of them is just PCI Express 4. And to get that PCI Express 5 M.2, you need to connect to the sort of middle PCI Express there. So yeah, I don't really use it because I don't have that many M.2s. I got 3 M.2s. I actually filled up all the slots on the motherboard. The top one is the Samsung 980 Pro 2 terabyte. So that will be the boot drive. And the bottom left or the bottom right, to start that, is also a Samsung 980 Pro 2 terabyte. And then on the left one, the PCI Express 3 slot is filled with an old Intel 600p M.2, and that's like 256 gigabyte. So I don't know what I will use that for. Maybe just for Adobe or whatever. Yeah, and then you can't really see it now. Maybe I move the camera later on. You see the blue cables there. These are the SATA ports. So it has 6 SATA ports. And I thought I have actually 6 Samsung 1 terabyte drives. It's the 870 Evo drives. So I thought, well, it's got 6 ports, so let's run all of them in a RAID so I get one big volume. But I can't. Well, I can, but only with the 4 of them. Because the top 4 slots are connected to the Intel chipset. So I can make a RAID of those 4 drives. And the two bottom slots are actually connected to a separate SATA controller. I think it's called ASMedia or something, ASMedia. And you can't include those in the RAID array. So I will just have them as scratch drives. And first I thought I would do some kind of software RAID in Windows instead. And that way I can actually use all 6 drives in the RAID array. The problem with that is that the Windows software RAID doesn't support trim. It doesn't have trim support. Which means that if the SSD doesn't get trimmed now and then, they will get slower and slower and slower. So that's not really an option either. So that's kind of annoying. So I kind of have to run it through the motherboard's RAID, the ISH, the RST RAID, because the RST RAID on this one can actually support trim. It has trim support. So even though I have them in a RAID array, I can trim the drives. So yeah. So that's kind of that. Nothing special about it. The motherboard also got the built-in Intel network card or network slot, and it's the 2.5 gigabit network. I think it's called i225. And I know the first generation of the i225 had some issues, but I think this is the kind of the second generation of that. And it works. I don't have 2.5 gigabit switch yet, so I might get that later as well. And also in the other storage server, I might get some upgrades there as well. Well, it's starting to be kind of a long video, so yeah, let's see the front, if I can move the light a little bit like that. So I show you the front maybe a little bit like this. And I can't really see that good, but Perhaps, I don't know if I do it like this. Yeah, there you can see the 3 fans. And yeah, and it's got some kind of mesh on the front. And if you know the Meshify case, it's similar to that, but not as sort of meshified. And then at the bottom, you have this cover, and you can actually just remove it. Have this magnetic stuff. And at the bottom there, you can't see it perhaps that well, but it has 2 5¼ inch base, and the bottom one is just you can sort of pull it out like this, and it's just a box so you can store stuff. And yeah, put it in later. And then the top one, I have actually my a 5¼ inch drive bay, and you can have 6 2.5-inch drives in there, so that fits with the motherboard. And right now I got the 6 1TB Samsung 870 drives in there. And when the computer is on, the LEDs on it will light up blue. So you can see the 6 drives there. And yeah, it's very quiet. The system is very quiet. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, the Noctua fans, they are really, really quiet. So I can barely hear the computer. So yeah. That's that. So catch you later.